Fine, guys. Let me go and open the class notes. First, go and open the class notes. In the previous class, we discussed about the complete introduction to what? In the previous class, 60 minutes of time, we discussed about introduction to Power Platform. So now, first, let me give a quick recap what we discussed in the previous class, guys. I'll give a quick recap what we covered in the previous class, right? Fine. So in the previous class, we discussed about the different points. So we discussed about what is Power Apps or what is Power Platform. The second point we discussed about the business applications. The third point we understand how to implement this business applications using Power Platform. And next point we understand about the Power Platform architecture. What is the architecture of Power Platform? Let me go and open the Power Platform architecture, guys. This is what the architecture of Power Platform, which we discussed already in the previous class, right? And then next we discussed about what we can do with the help of Power Platform. So these are all the six softwares or six applications which we are going to implement within the Power Platform. And next we discussed about who will use Power Platform and who will hire the Power Platform developers. So here clearly we understand who will use Power Platform and who will hire the Power Platform developers. And also one more point we understand here, Power Platform is used for what? Power Platform is used to implement what? Business applications, right? And then next, from here, we understand two more points. So we discussed about what is the need of business applications. In the previous class, I said that before going to start the business, what the companies need to do, the companies need to go and implement what applications. Now, why the companies need to go and implement the business applications? What's the need? This is what the first point we understand. What is the need of business applications? Next point we understand how to implement this business applications using what? Power Platform. And then here we discussed about what is the need of business applications. And also we understand one more point, business process. And next we discussed about the business applications process. So while implementing this business applications, we know that there is one process we need to follow. That process we'll call it as what? Business applications process. It is a how many step process? 4 steps. So these are the 4 steps involved in this case. We discussed about what each step will do. We know what is meant by front-end applications. We know what is meant by data sources. We know what is meant by automations and also data analysis. We discussed all this 4-step business applications process in a detailed way in the previous class. And then next point, we understand how to implement this business applications process using Power Platform. This is what we understand, how to implement this business applications process using Power Platform. So to implement the business applications process using Power Platform, as we know that Power Platform will have the different softwares. Within the Power Platform, there are different softwares we'll have. So these are all the different softwares is there. So with the help of this collection of softwares, how to implement this 4-step business applications process, we discussed it theoretically in the previous class, guys. Theoretically we discussed. So now, from today's class, next coming two to three classes, we'll discuss practicals, guys. Practically at a high level, I will show you how to implement this 4-step business applications process with the help of this collection of softwares, right? Fine. So now before going to start discussing the practicals, let me go and keep one point here, guys. So make a note. For every batch, we have 4 introduction classes, guys. So your batch number is 154. Batch 154, right? Your batch number is 154. For every batch, we'll have how many introduction classes? We'll have 4 introduction classes. What are those 4 introduction classes now? Let me list out. Class 1 is for what? Class 1 is to introduction to what? Power Platform. Introduction to what? Power Platform. And class 2 is for introduction to Power Apps. And class 3 is for introduction to Power Automator. Introduction to what? Power Automate. And class 4 is for what? And class 4 is for what? Introduction to Power BI, right? So these are the 4 introduction classes we'll have, guys. So among those 4 introduction classes, already we done with what? Class 1, Introduction to Power Platform. Already we done with class 1, Introduction to Power Platform. That's what we discussed in the previous class, right? So let me go and keep here, guys. Already we done with class 1. Already we done with what? Class 1. So now today is class 2. Consider today is what? Class 2. So in today's class, we'll go and discuss about what? Introduction to Power Apps, right? Okay. So just copy this one, guys. Just copy it from here. And let me go and keep it. Just copy and then paste it here, right? Let me keep here today's class 2. Today is class 2. In today's class, we'll discuss about what? Introduction to Power Apps, right? So now, before going to start discussing what is Power Apps, before going to start discussing what is Power Apps, let me give the agenda for today's class, guys. So to understand what is the agenda for today's class, let me go to the Power Platform architecture. So try to understand, guys. In this architecture, I will explain you what is the agenda for today's class, right? So that you'll understand what I'm going to cover now, right? So try to understand, guys. In today's class, we'll go on discuss how to create the apps using Power Apps. Using Power Apps, we'll understand how to create apps. Once after creating the apps, second point we'll understand. Next, once after creating the app, we'll understand from Power Apps, how to submit the data to the data sources. We'll understand what? From Power Apps, how to submit the data to the data sources. So let's take one of the data source I'm going to take here is SharePoint, guys. In today's class, I'll go and take one of the data source as what? SharePoint. So how to submit the data to the SharePoint, we'll understand. Once after submitting the data, now we'll have some data in the SharePoint, right? So whatever the data is there in the SharePoint, now I want to display that same data again in the Power Apps. Whatever the data is there in the SharePoint, I want to display that same data again in the Power Apps. Once of displaying the data, next we need to do what? We'll go and work with the data. So working with the data means, let's take an example, guys. Let's take an example of updating the records, deleting the records, search the data, filter the data, sort the data, and bulk update, bulk delete, bulk insert. So like this, we'll go and discuss how to work with the data itself extensively for 9 to 10 hours, guys. So it is most important concept. Extensively, we'll understand how to work with it around 9 to 10 hours in the coming classes, right? So this is what is the agenda for today's class, guys. So in today's class, what we'll understand, what we are going to cover, we'll understand how to create an app using Power Apps. And then next we'll understand from Power Apps, how to submit the data to the data source. What are the data source we are going to take? SharePoint. Once after submitting the data, now whatever the data we'll have in the SharePoint, I want to display that same data again in the Power Apps. Once of displaying the data, next I need to go and work with the data. So this is what's the agenda for today's class, guys. Whatever I am showing here in this block diagram, I'll show you that each and every point practically in today's class, guys. Right? Fine. Okay. And now, before going to now let me start discussing Power Apps, guys. So now keep in mind one point here. To understand the concept in a better way, before going to create an app in Power Apps, what I'll do here is, first of all, I'll go and give some brief introduction to SharePoint, guys. First, let me start discussing about SharePoint here. Once after understanding about SharePoint, then we'll go and create an app in Power Apps, right? First, we'll discuss about SharePoint concept, some basic introduction. Let me go and keep here. So in today's class, first we'll understand about what is SharePoint. Let me keep here, guys. Try to understand what's the definition of SharePoint. Let me keep here. The definition of SharePoint. SharePoint is a cloud-based. It's a cloud-based data source software. Which is used to store the business data, which is used to store the, or let me, which is used to store and manage the organizational, organizational business data, organizational business data in the form of, list or come in the form of documents, everything at one place. So this is what the definition of SharePoint is. Let me explain it in a detailed way. Try to understand. I'm telling that SharePoint is what software? It acts as a data source software, right? Which is used for what? Which is used to store and manage the organizational business data in the form of what? List. Now, what's meant by a list, guys? List is nothing but a table. List is nothing but what? A table. So in the SharePoint terminology, we don't call it as tables, guys. We'll call it as what? A list. List is nothing but what? It is a table in the SharePoint terminology. We'll store that data in the form of list, nothing but tables. And also, SharePoint will allows you to store that data in the form of documents. It allows you to store some documents. Documents means what? Documents means what? Documents like, we can store some documents like Word document, Excel, uh, you can store some data in the form of CSV files, and also we can store some data in the form of PPTs. We can store some data in the form of what? PPTs. Just 1 second. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Just 1 minute, guys. Online people. Right. Sorry for disturbance. So we'll store some data in the form of what? Documents. Documents means what? Like Word, Excel, CSV, PPT, any images. Like this, if you want to store some data in the form of documents, yes, you can store it. Everything at one place. So this is what the definition of SharePoint is. Right, okay. And now the next point, try to understand. I said that SharePoint is what software? It is a data source software. Now, what is the meaning of data sources? Already we discussed. At this point in the previous class, in the class 1. What is meant by data sources now? If you go to the class 1, in the class 1, here, when I'm discussing about this business applications process, here we discussed about what? Data sources. I said that data sources means what? The place where the companies will store their business data. We'll call it as what? Data sources. Already we know this case, which we discussed in the previous class, right? Fine, okay. And now, let me go and open the SharePoint in order to go and store that data in the form of list or in the form of documents. Now, how to open the SharePoint now? Let me keep here. How to open what? SharePoint. So in order to open the SharePoint, we need to log into the Microsoft 365. So to log into the Microsoft 365, we need to go and use this URL, m365.cloud.microsoft. You need to go with this URL, guys, right? Now let me go and log in with this URL, guys. So let me go to any one of the web browser now. I'll go to one of this web browser. Let me go to the incognito mode. And let me go with this URL, m365. cloud.microsoft. All right. So when I go with this URL, now it will ask us to sign in. Let me sign in with Microsoft account, guys. So here, your normal Gmail account, Outlook accounts doesn't work to work with the Power Platform. You need to have the organizational account, guys. You need to have what? Organizational account. So let me go and log in with this account, guys. I have an organizational account. I'll go and log in with this account here. Let me go and click on the next button. And let me enter the password and click on sign in. Click on sign in. Click on this button. Now I'm signing into what? Microsoft 365, M365. Right, okay. Now once after logging here, please go and check the license you are using. Sometimes by default, it will take your normal Gmail account or Outlook accounts, guys. You can go here and you can check the license, what license you are using. And then to open the SharePoint, go to the search, go to this tab, search tab, and then go to the search bar. Just go and search for what? SharePoint. Go and search here for what? SharePoint. From here, you can access all the Microsoft applications, guys, right? For now, let me go and open the SharePoint. Let me select the SharePoint now. When I select the SharePoint, now it will go and open what? Now it will go and open what? It will go and open the SharePoint. Let it open, guys. Let me close this. Go here. Let me click on it. Open again. We'll provide the accounts to you. We'll provide this license for you for practice purpose for 6 months, which I already mentioned in the introduction demo session. Let it open. It's taking some time. Let me do one thing. I'll go and open it from here. Right. So it is taking some time. Anyway, it is also opened. No problem. So it will open this SharePoint, guys. Now I'm opening what here? I'm opening the SharePoint. Now, once after opening the SharePoint software, now within the SharePoint, I want to store that data in the form of list. List is nothing but what? Tables. Now, if you want to store that data in the form of list, then you need to go and create something called site. If you want to store that data in the form of list, then first of all, we need to go and create something called what? Site. Now, what is meant by a site here, guys? Let me go and keep here. So let me keep here. What is the definition of site? Now try to understand, guys. What's meant by a site is it is a database, or we can call it as a container. It is a database or a container which is used to store and manage the organizational business data. Simple. What's meant by site? It lacks like a database. People, those who know the database concepts like MS SQL Server, Oracle, people, those who have some knowledge on these concepts. So you know what is meant by databases there. So same here, guys. Site will also access one database or a container where we can go and store and manage the organizational business data, right? Okay. Now we understand what's meant by a site. Let me go and create one site here. To create a site, let me go and select this option, create site. When I select this option, create a site, now it will allows you to go and create one site here, guys. So it is telling us what? Create a site. And then it is telling us what? Select the site type. Here we have the two types of sites, guys. One is team site. Second is what? Communication site. Now, what is the difference between these two? When to go and create the team site, when to go and create the communication site, and what's the difference between them, you'll understand. In the coming classes, we'll cover, guys. So as today's introduction class, just try to understand how to create one site. Let me keep here one point. We have the types of sites here. Types of sites. There are two types of sites we'll have. What are those? First one is team site. Second one is what? Communication site. All right. Okay, fine. Let me go and create one of this site case. You'll understand what's the difference between them in the coming classes. For now, I'll go and create the team site. In the real-time scenarios also, 90% of the cases will go and create the team sites. Let me select the team site. And then it is asking us to select the template. Let me go and select one of this template, standard template. Let me select this. And then go and click on use this template. Click on this option. Now it is asking us to pass the site name. Let me pass the site name here. I'll pass the site name as your batch number, batch 154 9 a.m. For easy understanding purpose, I'll pass your batch number as the site name. Once after passing the site name, just go and click on the next button here, guys. Click on next. And then just go and click on create a site. Click on create site. When I click on create a site, now if you see, it is creating one site for us. Once the site is created successfully, the finish button will get enabled. Right now, finish button is disabled, right? Once the site is created successfully, the finish button will get enabled. Let it create. Yes, the site is created. And then you can see the finish button enable here. Just click on finish button. When I click on the finish button, when I click on this finish button, now it is creating one site for us. Just click on maybe later. Now this is the site name. This is the site which we created, batch 154 9 a.m. Someone please confirm, online people. My voice is audible to you. Someone is telling that it is not audible.
Yes, yes, we are audible.
Right. So please check your network connections or check your system mic. So who is not able to hear my voice. All right. Now, once after creating the site, now within this site, I want to create a list to store the data. Right. So now before going to understand how to create a list here, let me go and keep the definition of list. What's meant by a list now? So try to understand, guys. What's the meaning of list in general? In general, what's meant by a list means? List is used to, it is used to store the data in the form of columns and rows. List is nothing but what? It is used to store that data in the form of columns and rows. If you are storing something in the form of columns and rows, we'll call it as what? Tables. But in the SharePoint terminology, we don't call it as tables, guys. We'll call it as what? A list. Keep in mind this terminology. This is what the general meaning of a list. But what's meant by a list in the SharePoint terminology? In the SharePoint terminology, what's the meaning of list? Let me keep here, guys. The list will contains, what the list contains means, the list will contains the list items, or let me keep it, contains the fields. First I'll keep here fields, comma, list items. Right. This is what the meaning of list in the SharePoint. In the SharePoint terminology, what the list contains? Fields, comma, list items. Now, what's meant by fields? Fields are nothing but columns, guys. Fields are nothing but what? Columns. So in general, we'll call it as columns. But in the SharePoint terminology, we'll call it as what? Field. List items is nothing but what? Rows. In general, we'll call it as rows. But in the SharePoint terminology, we'll call it as what? List items. Keep in mind this terminology, guys. Terminology is important. Right, okay. So this is what's the meaning of a list now. What's meant by a list? Now I want to create one list here. Let me go and create one list. I want to create one list with name students, where I want to store some students data, like student name, student email ID, mobile number, course, and let's take educational background. So I want to create one list with these fields. Fields are nothing but what? Columns. Let me go and create this list, guys. I'll show you how to create this list in the SharePoint, right? Let me go to the SharePoint now. Go to the SharePoint. And to create a list, first go to the site. And within the site, you can see there is an option called what? New. Go to the option called new. You can see there is an option called what? List. So let me select this list, guys. When I click on list, now it will allow you to go and create one list here. So create from the blank. I want to create a list from the blank, guys. Click on this. I want to create what? A list. Let me select this option, create a list from the blank. Let me select it. Now it is asking us to pass the list name. Let me pass the list name as what? Students list. Let me list them as students and click on create. When I click on create, Now it is going to create one list for us with name what? Students. You can see the name here. You can see the list name students. And this is the list we created. Try to understand, guys. Whenever if you go and create a list in the SharePoint, then by default, SharePoint will go and add one column. What's that column? Title column. Whenever if you create a list in the SharePoint, it will add one default column called what? Title. How to rename this column name? I will show you guys. I can rename this column name to what? Student name. How to rename it? I'll show you. For now, let me go and add the remaining columns. Let me go and add what? Remaining columns. How to add the columns? So you can see there is an option called what? Add columns. Just go and select this option, add columns. Select this option, add columns. And you can see here there is an option called what? Next. Just go and click on the next button, guys. When I click on the next button, now it is opening one right panel. It is opening one right panel. And here you can create the column. Let me go and create one column here, guys. Let me pass the column name as what? Email column. Once after passing the column name, next pass the data type. This data type is important. What is meant by data type now? Data type means you are creating one column, right? You are creating one column here, right? Now in this column, what values you want to store? Whether you want to store the numerical values, whether you want to store the text values, whether you want to store the date values, or whether you want to store any Boolean values, what type of values you want to store, right? So who will decide what type of values you want to store in this column? Data type will decide. So let me pass the data type here, guys. So here we have the different types of data types. Single line of text, multiple line, number, yes or no, person, group. We'll discuss all these different types of columns in our upcoming sessions, guys. For now, email is the column. I'll take the data type as what? Single line. Let me select the data type as a single line and click on save. Now see, it is added one new column or not? Yes. Let me go and click on add columns again. Click on the next button. I want to add the next column, mobile. I'll go with the data type as single line only. For now, I'm going with what? Single line itself. Click on save. Just 1 second, it's taking some time. Just refresh this tab once. Okay, let me go and click on add column. Click on next. Let me go and add the column called mobile. Click on save. Already exist. Okay, fine. It is telling already exist, but we are not able to see here. So how to take that column? I'll show you. Next, let me go and add the another column. I'll go and add the next column. Somehow it is taking some time. Or let me show you how to take that mobile number column here first. So to add that mobile number column here, go to the settings and then go to the list settings here. I want to go to the settings of this list. Go to the list settings. And then scroll down. You can see here it is visible, but we are not able to see there. Why we are not able to see? Let me go here. Just wait. It's taking some time to load. Okay, let me go to the settings. Go to the settings of this list. Go and click on all items here. Scroll down. And here, if you see, two columns are selected, title and email. Mobile is not selected. Let me go and select the mobile column also, and then go and click on OK. Now it will show the mobile number column also. So it need to show by default, somehow it is not showing here. Now let me go and add another column, guys. Next column I want to add what? Course. And column data type is what? I'll take the choice column now. Courses means we have minimum 4 to 5 courses. Let me take it as choice. Let me enter the choices now. First course I'm keeping here Power Apps. And the second course I'm keeping here. Let's take Power BI. And the next course I'm taking here, let's take SQL Server. Like this, we can keep some courses, guys. If you want to add a few more choices, you can always, there is an option called what? Add choice. You can add more choices. For now, I'll go with these 3 courses and then go and click on what? Save. When I click on save, Now it is added what column? Course. Let me go and add one more column called education. Education. Right. Go with single line of text only. Click on save. Right. So these are columns I'm adding here. Now let me go and rename this column name, guys, to student name. How to rename this column name? Simple. Go to this column and then go and click on what? Column settings. In the column settings, you can see what? Rename. This is the one way you can rename the column name from here. There is another way. Go to the settings of this list. Go to what? Settings of this list. Go to the list settings. And then you can see there is a section called columns. Here you can see the columns which we created just now. There is a column called what? Title. Select the column title. Select the column called what? Title. And then you can rename this column name to what? S name. Change the column name and click on OK. Now it will change the column name here. It will change the column name to student name. Yes, it is changed. Now go to the table or list. Now you can see the column name is changed. So like this, you can rename the column names. Okay. Now we understand how to create a list in the SharePoint, right? Once after creating the list, now I want to enter some data. Why we are creating this list? I want to store the students' data. Now how to enter the data here? So if you want to enter the data into Power Apps, you can see there is an option called what? Add new item. When I select this add new item, it will open one form where you can enter the data. Let's take, I'm keeping the student name as Warner, student email ID, some dummy values I'm entering for now at gmail.com. Let me keep some mobile number. Let me take the course as Power BI, education background as BTech. Let's take education background as BTech and then click on save. When I click on save, now see, it is going to add that record, student record. It is added, right? So now what I'm doing, once after creating the list, I'm entering the data into the SharePoint list manually. But let's take students wants to submit the form. Let's take students are inquiring some course in analytics benchmark. Now students not able to go to the SharePoint. They don't know how to open the SharePoint. They don't know how to go to the site. They don't know how to go to this list. They don't know how to go and enter the data. Anyway, students, we don't provide the access for the students to enter the data directly in the SharePoint. So now what I want to do here is my requirement. I don't want to enter the data into the SharePoint list manually with the help of this add new item. Now I want to allow the students or my front office team to enter the data into the SharePoint list using Power Apps. Now, what is my requirement here is I want to go and create an app using Power Apps. I want to create what? I want to create an app with the help of Power Apps. And then whenever the student is inquiring for any course, I want to enter that student's data in this Power App. Whenever I enter the data in the students list or whenever I enter the students data in this Power App, automatically the data I want to store in this SharePoint list. So now what's my requirement? I don't want to enter the data into the SharePoint list manually. I want to enter the data into the SharePoint list using what? Power Apps, right? So still now we discussed about how to create a site, what is meant by SharePoint, what's meant by a site, what's meant by a list. Now let me go and discuss what is Power Apps and how to create one simple app using Power Apps, and from Power Apps, how to store the data into the SharePoint list we need to understand, right? So now let me go and understand about what is Power Apps, guys. First, I'll keep the definition. First, I'll keep what? What's the definition of Power Apps? Right, okay. Now try to understand, guys. If someone will ask you what is Power Apps, then what's the answer from your end? Already you know. Already we know, which we discussed in the yesterday's class, that is the previous class. Here, in the class one, when I'm discussing about this business applications process, here I said that if you want to create apps, go and use which software? Power Apps. I said that what is Power Apps here? Power Apps is used for what? It is used to create the apps or the forms within the Power Platform. So if someone will ask you what is Power Apps means, you can give this definition, guys. This is correct. There is nothing wrong in that. What is the use of Power Apps means? It is used to create the apps or the forms within the Power Platform. This is the simple definition. This is the simple definition. What is Power Apps? Now, here Power Apps not only to create the app case or forms. Apart from that, what we can do with the help of Power Apps? What actually the Power Apps can do? Let me keep here the another definition. The another definition for Power Apps. Not only just creating the apps. What's the actual definition of Power Apps is? Let me keep here. The first point, as we know that already, Power Apps is used for what? It is used to create apps or the forms. What is the need of creating these apps or the forms? Which is used to collect the data from the customers. Which is used for what? Collect the data from the customers. Once after collecting the data from the customers, next what I want to do? I want to submit the data. I want to submit the data to the data sources. I want to submit the data to the data sources, right? Once after submitting the data, next what I want to do? I need to go and display the data, display the data in Power Apps, or let me keep it in this way. And also it is used to display the data which is stored in the data sources. Whatever the data I was storing in the data sources, will display the data again the Power Apps. Next, once off displaying the next, we'll do what? And also use it to work with the data stored in the data sources, and also use it to work with the data which is stored in the data sources. This is what the definition of Power Apps, or what the Power Apps can do. Try to understand, guys, what I'm telling here. First point, as I said, that Power Apps is used to create the apps or the forms. This is the first point. Second point, what I'm telling, what is the need of creating these apps or the forms here? Because these apps or forms are used for what? These are used to collect some data from the customers. So once after collecting the data from the customers, we'll do what? We'll go and store the data in where? Data sources. Storing the data means we'll go and submit the data. We'll submit the data to the data sources. So this is the third point. Once after submitting the data to the data sources, next we'll do what? We'll display that same data again in the Power Apps. Whatever the data you are storing in the data sources, we'll display that same data again in the Power Apps. So once off displaying the data in the Power Apps, next we'll do what? We'll go and work with the data. Next we'll do what? We'll go and work with the data. This is what the Power Apps can do, or what we can do with the help of Power Apps, right? The same, whatever the points I'm mentioning here, the same I explained here also, guys, in the beginning of this today's class. What I said, what is the agenda? In today's class, we'll be understanding what is Power Apps and how to create an app in Power Apps. Next, we'll understand what, how to, from Power Apps, how to submit the data to the data source. SharePoint is the source I'm taking here. Next, once after submitting the data, we'll understand how to display that same data again in the Power Apps. Once off displaying the data, next we'll do what? How to work with the data, right? So this is what the definition of Power Apps. The same I'm keeping here also. Now, let me go and open the Power App software to create apps or some forms. Now, how to open the Power Apps? Let me keep here, guys. How to open Power Apps. So to open the Power Apps, there are two ways. One way, from the Microsoft 365. You can go to the Microsoft 365, and from there we can open the Power Apps. This is the one way. Another way, if you want to open the Power Apps directly, you can go with this URL, make.powerapps.com. Make.powerapps.com. To open the Power Apps directly, you can go with this URL. So as today is the first class, I'm giving some introduction. So let me go and open the Power Apps from the Microsoft 365 itself. Let me go to the Microsoft 365, go to the search bar, and then go and search here for what? Power Apps. When I search for Power Apps, you can see the Power Apps application here. Just go and select it. When I select this, now it will go and open what? It will go and open the Power Apps now. It will go and open what? It will go and open the Power Apps. Right. Let it open. Fine. Okay. Now, once after opening the Power Apps software, first thing we need to do, go and connect to the environment. There is something called environment here. So let me go to the environments, go to this option. And I created one separate environment for your batch. Your batch number is 152. I created one environment for your batch, guys. Let me go to this environment now. Go to this environment. So first select the environment. What is environment? how to create it, different types of environments will have, what is the need of them, I'll discuss. In the coming classes, there is 1 hour of session, dedicated session for environments. There you will come to know. For now, whenever you open the Power Apps, first connect to the environment. Once after connecting to the environment, now go to the Create tab. Go to the Create tab. And from here, you can start creating the apps, guys. So you can see, we can start creating the app from the blank. Let me select this option, create the app from the blank. Let me select this option. Now it is asking us to select the layout. Now you can create the app here for 3 different layouts, guys. One is mobile layout, second one is tablet layout, and third one is responsive. Responsive means we can use the app either in the mobile, tablet, or on the desktop, anywhere. For now, I'll take the phone layout here, guys. For now, I'll take what? Phone layout. In the coming class, we'll discuss tablet and responsive also. Let me select the layout as phone now. When I select the layout, now it will go and open what? Power Apps Studio. It will go and open what? Power Apps Studio. What is Power Apps Studio? First, let it open, guys. Let it open. When I click on any layout, it will go and open the Power Apps Studio. Let it open. Now see, it is telling us what? Welcome to Power Apps Studio. Click on skip. Now this is the complete UI for Power Apps Studio. So here, if you observe in this Power Apps Studio, there are different options is there. So in the coming classes, once if I start our regular classwork, I'll discuss 1 hour for this UI, what each option will do, each and every option I will explain you in a detailed way. In the coming classes, there is a session, 1 hour session is there, where you will come to know complete UI for Power Apps Studio. For now, as today is the introduction class, just try to understand how I am creating one app here, guys, right? Fine. So now here, this is called as Canva. This is called as what? Canva. Or we can call it as screen also. We'll call it as what? Screen. Now, what is this Canva means? This is the place. Canva is the place where we can design or create apps based on the client requirement, right? Fine. So first of all, let me save the app, guys. I want to save the app with some name. You can see there is an option called what? Save. Let me go and click on save option. Let me give some name here. AB trainings. Your batch number is 154. Just pass your batch number for reference purpose, guys. So now click on save. Try to understand. Here I will show you how to create one simple app for AB trainings for new student inquiry data. Let's take you people inquired for Power Apps course, right? So for inquiry data, I'll go and create one app here only for inquiry, just to understand how the Power Apps will work. So let it save. Once the app is saved, we can see that app name here on the top left side. Let it save. Still it is saving. Right, the app is saved. And you can see the app name here on the top, batch 154, right? So now this is my screen or Canva. First by requirement, I want to change the screen color. It is white now. I want to change the screen color. So this screen will have some properties. There is a property called what? Fill property. Let me go and change the fill color to red. I'm changing the fill color to what? Red. Fine. Okay. Next, my requirement, as this is my first screen, here I want to show the AB Trainings logo of AB Trainings. So to add the logo for this screen, there is a property called what? Background image property. I can upload the image here. But when I upload the image here, it will add that image exactly in the center. But my requirement, I don't want to keep the image in the center. I want to keep image somewhere on the top. So for this, what I'll do, I'll go to the Insert tab. I'll go to which tab? Insert tab. This is a very, very important tab, guys. This is a very, very important tab. Insert tab is the most important tab in Power Apps, right? So when I go to this Insert tab, right, anyway, I'll discuss, guys, in the coming classes on not Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, I'll cover the complete UI. For now, just try to understand what I'm covering here. When I go to the Insert tab, here, this Insert tab contains the different controls. If you see text label, edit form, text input, gallery, you can see something right here, right? These are all called as what? Controls. Now, what is the use of these controls? By using these controls only, we are going to create the app or we are going to design, right? So now my requirement, I want to add the image here. So to add the image, first of all, I want to go and add one control. Which control? Image control. Let me go here and then go and search for image. And you can see there is a control called what? Image control. Let me select that control. Now it will add that control to the screen. So I'm not writing any code here, guys. Just I'm selecting an option. It is adding one image here. Now just drag and drop. You don't want to write any code. Just drag and drop wherever if you want to keep this image. And now it is showing some blank. It is not showing any image here. I want to show the A/B trainings logo. For this, select this image. This image will have one property called image property. There's a property called what? Image. Go to this image property. Go and upload one image, guys. Go and upload what? One image. So let me go to my local system. I'll go and upload one image here. That is A/B trainings logo. Select the image, click on open. And keep the image position to fill. Keep the image position to what? Fill. And keep this image somewhere on the top. All right. Okay. This is what the logo I want to keep. Now, AB means what? Analytics benchmark. So now, analytics benchmark is doing what here? We are providing some trainings, right? Training, right? So I want to keep some text as training here. So to keep the text as training, we need to write any code? No. Just go to the insert tab again. Go and add what? A text label. I'll add the text label now. Just add the text label. Just drag and drop. Keep it wherever you want. Keep it wherever you want. Just keep it here. And then let me go and keep it in semi-bold. Increase the font size to 35. Keep it in the center. Change the font color to white. Now by default is showing some default value as text. I want to change it. How to change it? Select this control. Go to the property called text property. And this property value you can see here. Let me change it to what? Trainings. All right. Now it doesn't feel looks good. So I'll do something here. I'll do some spacing between each and every letter. I'll keep some spacing between each and every letter so that it feels better. Now analytics benchmark is doing what? They're providing some trainings, guys. Okay, fine. And next here, I want to keep some text as get started. I'm not concentrating much on the design part here. So let me go and keep some text as what? Get started. So let me go and add one more text label. Just drag and drop. Keep it here. Keep it here. And let me go and align to center, font size to 35. And align it to center. Let me change the text to get started. Get started. And then let me go and change the background color to black. Sorry, yellow. Background color to yellow. Now I'm keeping some text as get started. Now try to understand, guys. Now what's my requirement here is when I go and click on this get started, whenever I go and click on this get started, I need to go and open one form I need to go and open one form where I can enter the new student inquiry data. Like I want to create one form with student name, email ID, mobile number, course, education, with these columns or fields. I want to create one form here. With these columns or fields, I need to create one form here. Once after creating this form, now we'll go and enter some data. We'll go and enter some data in this form. Student name, email ID, mobile number, course, education background. We'll enter some data. Once after entering the data, whatever the data I'm entering in this form, I want to submit the data to the data sources. To submit the data, we'll go and keep one button here called submit button. When I click on the submit button, whatever the data you are entering here, I want to submit the data to the data sources. What is the data source we are taking? SharePoint. What is the data source we are taking? SharePoint. So in the SharePoint where I want to store the data? In a list, right? So this is what my requirement now. So when I click on get started, I want to open this form. So to open this form, first of all, let me go and create this form now. How to create the form, guys? Let me go and understand how to create this form. To create the form, I'll go and add one more screen. This is my screen one. Let me add one more screen. To add the screen, go to the option called new. You can see there are different screens we'll have. Let me go and add one blank screen. And in this screen, let me go and change the fill color to red. And then let me go and add some text here. new student inquiry form. Let me go and add one text as new student inquiry form. As we are going to create one form here for inquiry data. Right. And let me keep some border also for this. Let me go to the property. There is a property called border property. Keep the border thickness to 5 and change the border color to white. Right. So this is how it looks like. Now let me go and add one form. I want to create one form here now. To create the form, we need to write any code? No, not required. Again, go to which tab? Insert tab. And then go and select which control? Form. Edit form. Let me select that control. It will add the form control to the screen. Now just drag and drop. Wherever if you want to keep the form, just drag and drop. And now if you observe, whenever if you go and add the form to the screen, what this form is telling for us, it is telling that this form is not connected to any data. Please connect to the data sources. So let me go and connect this form to the data sources, guys. How to connect this form to the data source? First of all, I want to connect this app. I want to connect this app to this SharePoint list. Now, how to connect to the SharePoint as a data source from Power Apps? You can see there is an option called Data tab. There is a tab called what? Data tab. Go to this Data tab and then go and click on Add Data. And then go and search for SharePoint. Go and search for what? SharePoint. And then go and select this option SharePoint here. When I select this option, now it will allows you to connect to the SharePoint, guys. And it is asking us to pass the connection type. I'll go with the cloud. We are using the cloud, go with the cloud. And then click on connect. When I click on connect, now it will show the site name. Whatever the site we created here, it will show the site name. So for now, it is not showing, guys. If it is not showing the site name by default here, then how to take the site address? First of all, we need to pass the site name. So go to the SharePoint, go to this URL, and copy the URL up to the site name. This is my site name. Copy the URL up to where? Up to the site name. Copy this URL, guys. Copy the URL up to the site name. Go to Power Apps. Enter that URL here. Click on connect. Now it will show the list name. What is that list? Students. Select the list and click on what? Connect. When I click on connect, now I'm connecting to the list. Once after connecting to the SharePoint list, now what's my requirement? I want to connect this list to the form now. How to connect the list to the form? Select the form. This form will have a property, data source property. Go to the data source. Select the list name as what? Students list. Now, when I connect the form to the data source, then what happens here is Power Apps itself will go and create one form for us, guys. Power Apps itself will go and create one form for us. We are not creating this form. So I'm just connecting this form to the data sources. I'm not creating this form. So Power Apps is creating this form like structure. So why? Because Power Apps will have that intelligence. Power Apps will have that intelligence where it will go and read all the columns in the SharePoint. By understanding what columns will have, automatically it will go and get one form. So up to save here, save the form, save this app up to here. And then refresh this once, refresh this tab once. Right. So now let me go to the screen too. Right. And select the form now. Select the form and just drag and drop, just increase somehow the height. Okay. And then here you can see there is a column called content type. Default column added automatically. Let's just remove it. How to remove? Select the form and then go to the property fields. Click on this fields and then go and remove this field called content type. Right. And then I want to do some formattings here, guys. I want to go and change the font color, font weight, font size for this header and the place where we'll enter the values. Let me do it. Keep it in semi-bold, increase the font size to 30, font color to white. Let me select this, keep it in the semi-bold, font size to 28. I want to do the same formattings for remaining all the controls. Let me do it. Right, okay. Once of doing this formatting, select the form, and then let me go and add some back of border for this form and change the border color to white. Right, okay. So this is the form I'm adding this. I'm adding one form here. Now once after adding the form, and now uh, we'll go and enter the data. Once after entering the data, I want to submit the data, right? So to submit the data, I want to keep some button here called submit button. So let me go and add the button here, submit button, right? I want to add one button. Let me go to this button, go and add a button control. Just drag and drop and keep it here and reduce the width of this button. And let me keep the button text to submit. Let me keep the button text to what? Submit. Let me go and keep in semi-bold, font size to 30, change the font color to red, change the background color to white. So this is how it looks like. I'm adding one button here called submit button. Now copy the same button, paste it, Control C, Control V. And let me keep this button here to reset the form. It is for what? To reset the form. I'm adding two buttons. One is to submit, second is to reset. Okay, fine. So now when I want to go to the screen, in the screen one, when I click on this get started, I want to navigate the users from screen one to screen two. Go to the screen two. Now I want to test it. To test the app functionality, you can see there is an option called play button or a preview button. So when I click on this option, so now the app is in the play mode. You can test it. So if you observe, when I click on this get started, it is going to the form screen. No, it is not going. Why? Because there are two reasons. Why it is not going to the form screen? There are two reasons. Any guess why it is not going to the form screen? Anyone? Any guess?
We are not connected, and it is not a button, I guess.
Yeah, that
Correct.
is a
Both
thing.
are correct.
Hmm.
Correct. So first thing, it is a text label. Text labels are recommended to use just to display some value. Whenever if you want to show some text or some values, go and use the text label. Here my requirement, not only to show the value, I want to take an action also. I want to click. That means it is an action. Whenever if you want to take some actions, in place of adding the text labels, we need to add what? Buttons. This is the first point. So now let me go and remove this text label. Remove this text label. Go and click on delete this one. In place of this text label, I'll add one button control. Just drag and drop. Keep the button here. Let me change the button text. Right, I'm keeping one button here. Now, when I go and save the app and then play, now see, when I hold the mouse, there is a hand raise. Whenever there is a hand raise, it is a button. But here, there is no hand. It is cursor, blinking cursor. So now it is a button. Okay. When I click on this, get started. Now it is going to the screen too. No, it is not going. Yes. Why? Because it is just a button. Now you need to tell the power apps. Whenever the user click on this button, what need to happen? Navigate that user from screen one to screen two. How you can tell the power apps now? Select this button. This button will have some properties here, guys. There is a property called on select property. That means whenever I select this button, whenever I select the button, what need to happen, guys? Let me go to the on select property and then write the formula here. So there is a function called a navigate function. So use this function called navigate, which is used to navigate the users from one screen to another screen. And now this function is asking us to pass what? The target screen to navigate. What's my screen name? Which screen I want to navigate? Screen 2. Just pass that screen name. That's all. Now when I save it and then play, if you observe when I click on get started, it is going to the form screen or not? Yes, I'm going to the form screen. That is my screen 2. But I'm able to view the form here? No, I am not able to view the form here. Now, why we are not able to view the form? I'm able to go to the screen 2, but I'm not able to view the form here because, try to understand, guys. This form will have one property. What's that property? Mode property. Now, what is the default mode of this form? The form is in which mode? Edit mode. Here, this form will have three different modes. What are those? New, edit, and then view. These are the three different modes we'll have. By default, the form is in which mode? Edit mode. But try to understand. We are creating this form for what? I'm creating this form for what? To enter the new students data or not? Yes. Whenever if you are creating a form to enter the new students data, then make sure your form mode should be new. Your form mode should be what? New. So whenever if you are creating one form to enter the new data, make sure the form mode should be new. So remaining when to make the form as edit, when to make the form as view, you'll understand, guys. Anyway, I'll cover in the coming classes. One and a half hour of time, I'll discuss extensively by taking one scenario. I'll take one scenario and I'll tell you when to make the form as edit, when to make the form as view form. There you'll come to know. For now, keep in mind, if you are creating one form to enter the new data, then make sure the form mode should be new. So I now select the form. You can see the three options here. Now I don't recommend to select the form mode to new here. It is not a good practice. I don't recommend here. When I want to make the form as a new form means, whenever I click on this get started, before navigating the user to the form screen, what's my requirement here is, first of all, I want to reset that form. To reset the form, there is a function called what? Reset form function. Reset form. Which form? Pass the form name. Form 1. Next, I want once after reset the form, my requirement, I'm going to the form screen to enter the new data. So I want to make the form as a new form. To make the form as a new form, there is a function called what? New form function. Which form you want to make it as new? Form 1. So whenever we go and click on this get started, what happens? First, it will reset the form. Second, it will go and make the form as what? A new form. And then go to the form screen, right? When I save and then play, now when I click on get started, now see, now I'm able to view the form or not? Yes, because the form is in which mode now? New mode. So right now, let me go and enter some data. I'm entering the student name is equals to Sunil. Let's take email ID. Let's take some mail ID. Some dummy values I'm entering now. Let me keep some mobile number. Let me take the course as Power Apps and education background as BTech, right? I'm entering some data in the form. Now, whatever the data I'm entering in this form, I want to submit this data to this SharePoint list. To submit that, I go and click on what? Submit button. Now, when I click on this button, now see, it is submitting the data. If I go here and I refresh it, it is submitting the data. No, it is not submitted. Why? Because it is just a button. Now you need to tell the Power Apps, whenever I click on this button, what need to happen. So when I select this button, on select of this button, what need to happen? I want to submit the data. To submit the data, there is a function called what? Submit form function. Submit form. Which form? Form 1. Simple. Now, when I click on this button, what happens? It will submit the data. Which data? Whatever the data is there in this form, right? Now, once after submitting the data, next to my requirement, I want to show some success message to the user that the form is submitted successfully. To show this, I'll go and add one more screen 3. And here also I'll change the background color to red. And then let me go and add one text label. Let me keep the text. Let me keep the text as the form is submitted successfully. Align it to center, keep it in semi-bold, font size to 30. And then change the font color to white. The form is submitted successfully. And also I want to keep some tick mark here. Go to the insert tab, add one checkbox or check icon. Let me add this one. Keep it here. Color to white. Right, it looks better now. Now, when I click on this button, submit button, first submit the data. Once after submitting the data, then navigate the user to which screen? Screen 3. First submit the data and then go to the screen 3 so that the user can understand, okay, the form is submitted successfully, right? Fine. Okay. Now save the app and then play. I'm entering this record. Now when I click on submit button, now see the record is submitted and is going to the success screen, right? Now when I go and check the data here in this form, sorry, in the SharePoint, now the record is submitted or not? Yes, the record is submitted. So this is how we'll go and create one simple app here in the Power Apps with 3 different screens where I can click on this get started to go to the form screen and where you can enter some students data, where you can enter the new students inquiry data, uh, and then you can go and click on the submit button. It will submit and then go to the success screen. And when I go and check the data here in this SharePoint list, yes, the record is created. So still now we discussed about what? We discussed about how to create one simple app in Power Apps, and then how to enter the data in the Power Apps. Whatever data you are entering, how to submit the data to the data source. Next, my requirement is what? Whatever the data I'm having here, I want to display the data in the Power Apps now. How to display the data? So here, this is the data I'm having. How many students data? 3 students. I want to display that same data in the Power Apps now. How to display the data, guys? Let me go here. Let me go and add one more screen. And let me go here. In this screen, let me go and add some text label. I'll keep some text as gallery. I'll keep the text as what? Gallery. I'm keeping some text as gallery. And then if you want to show that data in the Power Apps, which is already there in the SharePoint list, then go and add one control called gallery control. Let me select this control called gallery. It'll add that control to the screen. Just drag and drop. Now, let me select this control, go to the layout property. Let me select the layout as title, subtitle, and body. Select this layout. And then what data I want to show here in this gallery, whatever the data is there in the students list. So select the gallery and then go to the data source. Already we are connecting to that list, students list. Let me select this list now. I'm connecting this gallery to what data? Students data. And now see, it is showing some, how many students is there? 3. These 3 students data is showing here, but it is showing in a different way. First, it is showing the email ID, but I want to show the name of the student. So this item dot email, I want to change it to what? Name. Keep it in the bold. Increase the font size to 24 or 30. Right, it looks feels better. And next, select the, this is course. Yes, I want to course itself. Increase the font size to 26. Keep it in semi-bold. Next, here it is showing something name. I want to show here the email ID. Right. Okay. Let me go and add some fill color to the gallery. I'm adding some fill color. Now it feels looks better. Now try to understand. Let me go and add some border also. Now try to understand, guys. So how many students data is there in the SharePoint? 3 students. These 3 students data I'm showing in the Power Apps or not? Yes. Student, first student Warner, second student Todd Smith. Student name, course, mobile, email ID. Student name, course, email ID. Now if I go and enter one more student record, let's check I'm entering one more student details. Click on submit. I'm submitting the data. The data comes here, right? Whenever the data comes here, automatically you can see the data in the Power Apps. Go to this gallery. Automatically you can see the data here. Whenever if you submit the data to the SharePoint list, automatically the data comes here, right? Okay. We understand how to display the data in Power Apps. Once of displaying, the next we'll do what? Work with the data. Next we need to do what? How to work with this data. This is the data is there in the SharePoint. That data I'm showing here in the Power Apps. Now I want to work it. So working with the data means what? As I said that you can update the data, you can delete the data, you can search the data, you can filter the data, you can sort the data, And also you can do what? Bulk update, bulk insert, bulk update, bulk delete. So these are all comes under working with the data, I guess. Bulk delete, and also multi-table insert. So these are all comes under working with the data itself. How to work with the data, as I said that already, 9 hours extensively will cover in the coming classes. For now, I'll show you one simple example. I'll take delete. I'll take what? Delete. So I'll show you how to delete this data. I'm having 4 students records is there. Let's say I want to remove one of the student record. I don't want to go to the SharePoint and I don't want to remove the data in the SharePoint case. I want to remove the data from Power Apps itself. How to do it? Select the gallery. Go and click on this icon. There is an icon. If you see, there is a pencil icon is there. Edit icon. Edit gallery. Select this option. Now when I select that option, it will select the top one item in the gallery. Now let me go to the insert tab. I'll add one icon called trash icon. Trash icon. Select that icon, just add it here. Now it is adding that icon in the gallery. Now, whenever I go and click on this icon, what's my requirement? When I select that icon, I want to remove the data. So to remove the data, there is a function called remove function, remove. Now, where I want to remove the data? In the students list. What data I want to remove in the students list? Whatever the data you are selecting in the gallery one dot selected, simple. Whichever the data you are selecting in the gallery, that data, go and remove where? In the students list, right? So when I go on save the app and then play, if you observe, let's take, I want to remove Smith record. Let me go and click on delete here. When I click on delete, now see, Smith record is deleted or not? Yes. So when I go and check the data in the SharePoint, Smith still it is there. When I refresh, now we have the Smith record here. No. So this is how we'll go and work with the data, guys. I'm showing one simple example, delete. So in the coming class, we'll discuss. See, whatever I'm discussing here, how to create this form. Forms itself, I'm showing you a simple example about form. We'll discuss extensively about the forms around 1, 2, 3, 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours, we'll discuss about the forms extensively in the coming classes. Gallery also, we'll be discussing extensively about the galleries for 4 hours in the coming classes, right? And also how to work with the data, we'll be discussing 9 hours in the coming classes. So I'm showing you at a high level here in today's class, guys. Whatever I'm discussing here, creating the forms, gallery, working with the data, we'll go and discuss extensively in our coming sessions, right? So now, as I said that Power Apps is used to create some apps or the forms which is used to and collect some data from the customers. We'll submit the data to the data sources. Next, we'll go and display the data again in the Power Apps. Once of displaying the data, next we'll do what? Go and work with the data, right? That's what the definition of Power Apps, and that's what I shown you practically here in today's class, right? So I done with this today's session. So now, next class is when? Tomorrow. Tomorrow's class will discuss about what? Introduction to Power Automate. So in the next class, what we'll do here is, whenever the employee or whenever we submit the data from Power Apps, whenever if you go and submit the data to the data source, whenever the new student data, whenever the student's data comes here into the SharePoint list, let's say I'm submitting one new student data, that data comes into where? SharePoint. Whenever that data comes into the SharePoint, immediately by taking that data as a reference, I want to send an email to that student automatically using what? Power Automate. With the help of Power Automate, how to send an email to the student whenever the new record is inserted into the SharePoint list. Regarding what I want to send an email, regarding the course he is inquiring. Which course, if he is inquiring for Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, or SharePoint, what course he is inquiring, regarding that course, I want to send an email. That's what my requirement. So from Power Apps, whenever I go and click on the submit button, it will submit the data to the source. Whenever the data comes here into the SharePoint list, which student record you inserted, by taking that student email ID as a reference, I want to send one automated email to that student regarding the course he is inquiring with the help of what? Power Automate. Using Power Automate, how to send an email to the student regarding the course he is inquiring whenever the new record is inserted, we'll be discussing in the next class tomorrow. Continuation of today's class. Whenever I click on submit button, if the data comes here, how to send an email to that student regarding the course, we'll be discussing in the next class tomorrow. Tomorrow's class is third class, where we'll be discussing about introduction to Power Automate. Fine. I'll stop here today. And we'll be discussing from here in the next class tomorrow. So tomorrow is what? Tomorrow is the third free class. Tomorrow is what? Third free class. So to attend the tomorrow's class, online people will be using the same link. You people go and use the same link. Whatever the link you are using today's class, use that same link to attend the tomorrow's class also. And in the tomorrow's class, we are going to discuss about what? Introduction to Power Automate. Fine. I'll stop here. Now, if you have any questions in today's class, online people, now you can please raise your hands and I'll talk to you one-on-one. Please don't make confusions. Please raise your hands and I'll talk to you one-on-one. First, we'll go with online. Next, I'll come to the offline.